So first of all, we just want to say it is okay if you need a break as a dungeon master. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over some tools so that you could have at the ready in order to make this easier. So, you don't need as much time because you put in some prep time to go on, okay, what am I going to do when the players derail me? What are some simple solutions?
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. All right, so what are we talking about today, Dave?
All right, today we're going to do a little DM tip session here. The D&D intermission, what it is, how you can use it, why you should use it, how to make it easier to use, and also let's banish a stigma about being a DM.
I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that. Why don't we take a quick break?
Oh my god!
But that's kind of an essence about what we're doing here today is talking about that. When you need a break, it's okay to take it. So what inspired this video, Dave?
If you've been DMing for even like a hot second, 1 hot minute, this has probably already come up, and that is the players do something, they stump you as the DM, and you don't know what to do, and maybe you panic, maybe you end the session right there, maybe you just grab all your stuff, run out the door, and you don't tell anybody what's going on, or maybe you wing it. Or come up with an excuse to actually have to take a break. Mm-hmm. I saw a tweet, out there that kind of talked about this and the idea of destigmatizing the idea that the dungeon master has to know everything, be able to improv on the spot all the time. That tweet was from Anthony Joyce Rivera. Normalize allowing DMs to take a 15 to 30 minute break at the gaming table. If players do something that derails their planned session, DMs can experience stage fright and freeze up if they don't feel like they can pause, plan, and recover from a derailed session or situation. So, I saw that and it really got me thinking, because you often say in our videos, when we talk about something even slightly remotely involving this situation, as the DM, you can take a 5-minute break, right? Mm-hmm. You can take a 10-minute break. And even in our own games, right, back in the day, this would always initiate a smoke break from the dungeon master. Whether the dungeon master smoked or not. No, we had a dungeon master with smoke, and I felt like whenever he wasn't sure what to do next, he'd be like, I'm going to take a smoke break. And then he would go figure it out.
Yeah. To me, there's something that's completely fine and normal with, all right, players do something you're not really expecting. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, I just need a hot minute. And I've had times where I was afraid to do those kind of things, and I pushed through, and the players had fun, but it took the game in a direction that even I wasn't planning, and I wasn't happy with the end result. And I then had to backpedal and think about, and I mean, heck, I can even recall an example in my kids' game where I put something out there. I didn't like it. The players had completely forgotten all about it. We just glossed over it the next session, and we just continued on. I'm like, all right, good. I don't have to worry about that. No one remembers. Let's just have fun.
It's not a thing anymore. So first of all, we just want to say it is okay if you need a break as a dungeon master. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over some tools so that you could have at the ready in order to make this easier. So, you don't need as much time because you put in some prep time to go on, okay, what am I going to do when the players derail me? What are some simple solutions?
All right, so before we get any further with it, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is take a breath. It's okay to be panicked by this kind of stuff. Even GMs like myself who have been running for a long time still suffer from DM anxiety and the pressure of running for your friends, your family, or strangers. And sometimes that it's like, all right, you just take a step back, take a deep breath, and then look at your notes and see where you might want to go, whether you need to run to the bathroom, whether you need to remove yourself from everybody. Maybe everybody else takes a break and you stay at the table to look through your notes and stuff. Whatever is going to be best for you to take in that break, I think is the best way to go about doing it.
So now, so let's kind of like jump into some of the tools and some things to make your life easier as the dungeon master when these circumstances come up.
So first and foremost, random charts are going to be your friend. There's loads of websites and stuff that you can get access to online, but there's also plenty of random charts in the DMG that you can be able to use to kind of populate a dungeon, create a story arc if need be. Heck, if you've been a fan of the channel for a long time, back when Nate the Narc was here, he actually ran a whole campaign based out of those random roll charts. So I know it can be done. So use those things to kind of guide where things could possibly go next.
Yeah, we know GMs that just play their games that way completely. We've played in games, it was actually live plays on the channel where the GM will just have the players make a couple rolls beforehand, and that really just dictates the adventure for the evening.
Absolutely.
So the next thing is, I think this is the thing that stumps DMs the most, or at least even if it doesn't stump them, it comes up the most, right? Mm-hmm. And that is just having lists of names, so that when your players are like, I want to find a blacksmith, and you're like, sure, you're the blacksmith. And they're like, what is it called? What is his name? Does he have an apprentice, right? And all of a sudden you need 7 names. And you're like, I don't know. It was good for the first 2, and then I don't know. But if you have lists of names both for NPCs, towns, establishments, whatever you can think of, you can make a list for it and just have it ready to go. Where you're like, oh, they want to know a thing, and you're like, oh, give me a second. Let me look at my notes.
And you look at your notes, you pull out one of those randomly things that you generated previously, and like you could make a list of, 100 people, a handful of taverns, a handful of towns. And when you're ready to populate your world with one of those things, grab it from your list, throw it in there, and as the game is going, kind of add the notes to that. Okay, well, this town is now named insert here, and here's the tavern, here's the blacksmith, here's names. And if you're playing via laptop, as I do, as Dave does, you can kind of move those things around and populate them into your campaign notes away from your just random lists that you've already got generated.
Yeah, sometimes, you want to do world building, and, to me, the most useful bit of world building is like, oh, I'm going to create a unique tavern, a unique establishment, places where your players will visit, but you stop at actually placing it anywhere, so that it's just this modular piece you can drop into your game wherever you need to, when you need to, and then it starts building out your world like you kind of said.
So the next, the list aspect is going to be a list of plot hooks, things that you as a DM might be interested in, but haven't really fully fleshed out. But if you've got some things that might generate an adventure, might generate interest, whether it be like, you're at a guild meeting or a guild house that offers out quests, or whether you've got a, one of those quest boards that, has kind of been a new thing for us anyway, where like players can kind of grab a thing off the quest board and like, I'm going to go do this thing. You've got some options, and whatever one they kind of, latch onto, well, there's your adventure.
Yeah, and also, it's not even just that. It's also if they go someplace you weren't expecting. So now, they're going to want some kind of adventure or something interesting to happen. So that's where that list comes in useful as well. In addition to having a list of plot hooks, a list of interesting circumstances could work as well. It may create a role-playing encounter for them. It may create a exploration encounter for them. If it goes really bad, it could be a combat encounter too, I guess, as well. But just so that stuff happens, when there's a lull in the game, I blow something up, have a hole open in the ground. Something happens because, we need to fill the dead air with something.
Yeah. When players at Dave's game tend to get a little quiet, it's like he pushes the button, something happens, and that's how it goes. But these kind of moments are also great for any kind of exploration pillar or expose of, well, you know what, I'm going to showcase some of the lore of my world, so they're able to discover something, learn something that might be unique to your style, your world, and you can showcase it here.
Yeah, and you can possibly do it in an interactive way, so it's not just you up there kind of monologuing to your players. So they have NPCs to ask questions and maybe something to interact with in the game.
And rarely are you going to have your characters changing level and, as in essence, power level of the game mid-session, or at least for our group, we level at the end. So here is a scenario, like, if you have some prepared encounters based off of, the threat level that they can handle, this is something that you could just be like, all right, well, you're not sure what to do. Players like combat, throw in an extra combat. And while this is going on, you've got some time to, do some extra thinking about, well, what is the ramifications after this fight? What could this encounter generate that wasn't there previously?
Yeah, like you said, having a list of encounters that you create is super useful. Out-of-the-box encounters is a Nerdarchy supplement that just has 55 drop-in encounters you can use in your game. Be prepared from Kobold Press. I think they have 1 and 2 is just like that too, where they're just individual sites or encounters. I believe there's other third-party publishers that put it out. Like, they're not full dungeons; they're just like lairs. So it's more than an encounter a lot of times, but it's not quite a full adventure either.
Right.
So, like, all of these are great resources when you're like, oh, I need something really quick. And it's only a couple pages. So even if you wanted to take a break, and go, hey, guys, I need to check something real quick. This went in an unexpected direction. And then you read through, get your encounter. I know, like, in out-of-box encounters, there's also complications. And these are things that kind of generally come up from having that encounter, where it might lead to more adventures and it might give you some more plot hooks to use.
Yeah. And you can also look at already prepared adventures of the appropriate level that you can grab things from as well. You don't have to run, the full Storm King's Thunder, but if you are playing at that level, you could kind of grab an encounter from there and be able to say, this is...
Maybe you just want to use the Flying Castle, right? Like, you can do that.
But if you're looking for, more randomized everything, the website Donjon that, Dave kind of talks about here on the channel a lot, it's got randomized everything. You can get everything from, like, a full-blown, dungeon with treasure and encounters, to just, like a single room.
Yeah, maps, treasure, loot drops. I like it for loot drops, random encounters. Like, everything is on there, so it makes it really easy. Just click a button. If like we said, if you need to take a break, you go to this website, you go, okay, where are they going to be? What kind of stuff do I need? And you just hit some random buttons. And
you click until you click until you get what you want. Yeah. I mean, I've used that, myself, but the one that I use most often is the fantasy name generator, and it's just fantasynamegenerator.com. You've got, randomized names for just about everything. And I use that just about every single session. It's been kind of a necessary tool for me in the We Live on a Boat game that I've been running, just because there's so many things, so many characters that have died and have had to been replaced. So it's like, all right, I just got this massive list of names now that are all like sailor and pirate based. I'm like, all right, I need a new name. Just grab one off the list.
And it's really great because you can pick thematically, you can pick by race, or like, I need a dwarven name. Hit the button, or, whether it's male, female, or whatever. You hit the button and it gives you 10 options, right? You don't like any of those options?
Hit it again.
Hit it again. Or you can mix and match, right? First names and surnames. So those resources just make everything so much easier to run, D&D kind of on the fly. But this is a way of making, it's on the fly, but instead of like being an airplane, it's more of like the airplane on a string with someone who just stands in a circle and makes it fly around them, right? It's contained, and you're not completely unprepared when your players throw things off the rail. You're just like, just give me a break here for 10 minutes and you can whip something together real quick. And also, never feel afraid to like throw it to your players if it's an area that you aren't expecting, to have them do a little player agency, and they can fill in names like, well, has your character been here before? And if they decide yes, I'm like, well, what tavern did they go to when they were here last?
One of the games, one of the channels that I watch is the General Adventuring Company, and he frequently throws things out to players. Tell me something about this character. What do they sound like? What do they look like? What's their name? Have you been here before? Like all of those things, he does all the time. Highly recommend, checking that out, just to see kind of how his style is. And it's not because he's not prepared. He just likes the players to have more say as to the ongoings of the world and the characters therein.
Yeah. So if you got a favorite resource that you use when you're caught unaware by your players, share it with the Nerdarchy community down below in the comments.
If you like these videos, others like it, as well as all the awesome content over on nerdarchy.com, why not come check us out on Patreon and throw us some support there?
Articles like player tips for D&D single-player games.
But hey, Patreon's not your bag. You know, the aforementioned out-of-the-box encounters that Dave mentioned is a great resource that you can use for this particular topic as well. Out of the Box picks up where the adventure takes off and puts 55 dynamic scenarios in your hands, ready in a moment to engage challenging players and their characters. In worlds of adventure across the multiverse, magic, mysteries, and monsters await bold explorers. When heroes step into the unknown, you'll have everything you need to reward curiosity with clever puzzles, compelling antagonists, design insights, and guidance for introducing each encounter. Plus what to do when players think out of the box, and intriguing encounter elements become the whole campaign. Encounters are written and designed for more than providing easy-to-use scenarios to energize your game session. Many encounters give tools and examples for solving common issues like players who miss a game session, encouraging collaborative role-playing and storytelling, and promoting group teamwork and problem-solving. Adventure awaits around every turn. Be ready for anything to emerge from out of the box.
Yeah, you can find the link down below. And also, if you have a great improv story where you didn't know what to do, you want to share it with the Nerdarchy community, do so below in the comments.
If you want to help out Nerdarchy appease that YouTube algorithm, go ahead and do all those amazing things like share, subscribe, even click on that notification bell. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos here on the channel Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so come on back. But you can't wait till then, no worries, we've got you covered. There's a card up here for plotting versus planning DM tips.
So until next time, stay nerdy.